Hi, Larry.
Hey, how are you, Mayor?
I'm blessed today. Happy day after Easter to you.
Likewise. Speaking of great mayors, there's Mayor Barnett. Welcome, Mayor.
Hey, good morning, everybody. How are you?
Goodness gracious, Mayor. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Mayor Reed, as well. It's been a while.
I know.
Welcome to this episode of How to Really Run a City, powered by Accelerator for America, the nation's leading do tank for cities. I'm Larry Platt of the Philadelphia Citizen, a nonprofit, nonpartisan media organization that seeks to reinvigorate democracy in the American city where it was born. Check us out at thephiladelphiacitizen.org. How to Really Run a City features two accomplished practitioners of the art of urban changemaking, former two-term Atlanta Mayor Kasim Reed and former two-term Philadelphia Mayor Michael Nutter. If you've listened to past episodes, you know the drill. If you're frustrated by the bickering and finger-pointing and just plain stupidity coming from Washington, D.C., well, this podcast is a testament to the notion that there are really three political parties in America: Democrats, Republicans, and mayors, who have no choice but to be practical problem solvers. In today's episode, the mayors talk with Republican Rochester Hills, Michigan Mayor Bryan Barnett, who has been outspoken about the effects of tariffs on his community. All right, welcome all. Welcome, mayors. Recently, President Clinton went to commemorate the anniversary of the tragic Oklahoma City bombing.
Tonight, a grim anniversary in the U.S. It is now 30 years since the Oklahoma City bombing, the deadliest act of domestic terrorism in our nation's history.
And both he and Mayor David Holt, another Republican mayor who has joined us, gave some remarks that were clearly aimed at the shit show we find ourselves in these days. So we have a short clip of that I just wanted to get you guys to comment on. You want to play that, JP?
The domestic terrorists who did this awful thing believed that it would spark a nationwide upheaval against the American government and would eventually destroy our government and our democracy and their way of life. Instead, you gave them the Oklahoma Standard. You gave them service, honor, and kindness.
This is my 8th address to this gathering. Over 8 addresses, I have spoken in favor of love, empathy, truth, and better conversations. I have asked us to embrace pluralism, to look past things that can be used to divide us, like political opinions or ethnicities or religion, and asked us to instead consider the infinite ways in which we are alike. I've stated that this obligation starts with us as citizens of Oklahoma City, but that it should apply to everyone in this entire country, especially and including elected officials and all those in the public eye. We also have another related obligation in Oklahoma City, and that is the obligation to speak and act against the forces that created the environment for this act of evil. Even when the personal remembrances have faded, the people of this city will still have a scar in our downtown, a symbol of what humans can do to each other when they do not love each other, when they do not seek to understand each other, when they fail to acknowledge our shared humanity, when they dehumanize each other, when they entertain conspiracy theories, when they are willing to act outside of peaceful democratic processes, even to commit violence, and when they let extremism rot their brains to the point where even a child is a soldier in their imagined war.
Definitely the right message. I think those are also, I'd be certainly interested to hear Mayor Reed's take on it. I think that in the moment, other than often, unfortunately, first responders being killed in the line of duty, I think those kinds of services are very, very difficult to capture mood and attitude of people participating. You really do have to read the crowd, read the room, as some might say, to try to bring a message, even in the depths of all that despair and what happened. How do you bring a message of hope under those circumstances? And I think we know President Clinton will be seen as one of the greatest orators in modern history. But I thought Mayor Holt did a great job as well.
Just a quick comment on that. I remember when Bill Clinton, when the Oklahoma City bombing happened, and Bill Clinton had this great line, which was, "You can't love your country and hate your government." And I wanted to share that. I want to, first of all, commemorate that, because I think that the roots of that are similar to what we're seeing today.
I also think commemorations, certainly of events of consequence, anchor us all. So whether we're in Oklahoma City or not, there are moments in the life of America that we need to be reminded of, and that should hold a special place for all Americans. And so I think the commemoration was done in an honorable way. But I also think that it was done more for the people of Oklahoma City. It's done to remind the nation. And then conversations like we're having today with leaders of both parties who show that you can still get things done, that you're still in politics to win for folks. And winning for folks is what matters. And it's why I think our podcast and other conversations right now, wherever you can remind people that we are better as a big, bold, inclusive environment, even when we're arguing over who should be leading that conversation, we're better off. And there's a huge debate going on within our country about what version of the country we're going to have. And that's what struck me about the comments. What version of the country are we going to have?
Well put. Well put. Mayor Barnett's with us, and we've had a little bit of technical difficulty. For those of you watching on YouTube, we can't see Mayor Nutter. I'm sure he's decked out in a three-piece suit, but we'll have the wisdom, the benefit of his wisdom during our conversation, which is the most important thing. But we're going to dive right in with our guest this week, Republican Rochester Hills, Michigan Mayor Bryan Barnett, who has been outspoken about the effect of tariffs on his community. So welcome, Mayor Barnett, to How to Really Run a City.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. Looking forward to it. Appreciate it.
Mayor Barnett, how you doing? Good to hear your voice and see you.
Good to see you too, my friend. Always good to see you.
He's also one of the former presidents of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, which is just a real symbol of how people across the country, not only in Michigan, have appreciated his leadership since 2006.
And what's amazing about that is since 2006. I mean, this is like the FDR of mayors. People can't get enough.
He's right up there with the dailies in my book. I mean, 2006.
Yeah.
We're 2025.
Well, you know, the interesting thing about my I'm very grateful to the residents for their support, but uniquely, I have term limits, and my term limits are 8 years. And so my last 3 elections, I've run as a write-in candidate, which has never been done before. And I've won 3 citywide elections not being on the ballot, beating candidates campaigning with their names on the ballot. So I think the only person in recent American political history, has won 3 citywide write-in campaigns. So really grateful for the support of the residents. Just kind of unique fun fact that we do actually have term limits in the city. So it's unusual to be here 18 years.
How do you keep your energy up and your sharpness and your passion up? I found in my second term in 7 and 8, I loved the job as much and had intensity, but at the end, I found myself wearing a bit. How do you do that over this period of time at a high level?
Yeah, I still love my job. I really do. Every day I get up and I think I'm really fortunate to have this position. It's a strong mayor system here. So I run the day-to-day operations of our city, about 80,000 people. And fortunately, that hasn't really been an issue. I mean, I get asked all the time, currently in Michigan, we have an open governor's seat, we have an open Senate seat, and currently in my district, we have an open House seat because one of our candidates, the current member of Congress, is running for governor. I love what I do. I'm still passionate about it. I feel like I can still make a really big difference here. And so that really has never been an issue for me. I love the diversity of the job. And I'm pretty competitive, and I just have always, I don't know, I just have always, because I'm doing a different thing every single day, seemingly still, as long as I've been doing this, I haven't gotten bored with it. And that's been a really nice aspect of it, which is why I still enjoy being mayor of my hometown.
Pretty competitive. I think you could have got the Detroit Lions over the hump if they'd added you. You was the last piece they needed.
Well, listen, my Lions did better than your Falcons, Kasim. So
They did. They did. I brought up my own pain. So, Mayor Barnett, given your conservative credentials, tell us what brought you to the point where you decided to be more forceful in having a conversation about the impacts of the recent tariffs.
Now we begin with the breaking news from Wall Street. Trading has been underway now for just about 30 minutes, and nervous investors, very nervous investors, are weighing in on President Trump's historic new global tariffs. The early assessment, deep concerns.
Yeah. Well, as you know, Kasim, I mean, most mayors are more practical than they are political. And so while I am Republican, that hardly ever comes up. Most of the day-to-day in all of our work is solving problems for people in our communities. And, most folks don't really ask, which conservative or liberal bent are you going to solve this issue with?
Sure.
But related to tariffs, it was, listen, I come from Rochester Hills on the outskirts of Metro Detroit. We're about 20 minutes north of the city.
Sure.
Very close with Mayor Duggan and really the whole network here. And we look at the secret sauce of Southeast Michigan, it's the auto industry, and it has always been the auto industry. And in my community, it's the mobility industry, which includes robotics. More robots are made in my city than any other city in North America.
Wow.
And our two biggest trading partners by far, it's not even close, are Canada and Mexico. And so, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to recognize that, putting tariffs on something on our two closest trading partners on the number one industry that affects probably 70% of the jobs in my community is a recipe for disaster. And that's why I was comfortable saying, listen, I don't have all the same input factors that the president or his administration has and what he's trying to do with these. But I can tell you from my perspective as a Republican mayor in Metro Detroit, these are awful. They are problematic in every sense of the word. And I got that information from talking to my local businesses, many of them who would tend to be Republican supporters, the chambers of commerce type folks, the businesses that are creating jobs in my community. And as bad as the tariffs are, the uncertainty is just as problematic. And so I've done a substantial amount of media on tariffs over the last couple of weeks. With a unique vantage point, but it's just sharing the stories of my community and, hoping that they find the right people's ear.
With us now, Bryan Barnett. He is the Republican mayor of Rochester Hills, Michigan, which is a kind of a suburb of Detroit. It's also like, you can practically see Canada. Let's say it is 25% on all cars and car parts. What would the impact be on you in Rochester Hills?
Well, first, thanks for having me. It would be really a perfect storm in Southeast Michigan.
Have you been in contact with the Trump White House regarding your concerns?
We've had people that have contacted me from the orbit that have shared differing thoughts and viewpoints about what the purpose of tariffs is, and I certainly haven't been in touch with any high level. I don't want to give the impression that, the Secretary of Commerce has called me or anything like that. But, some folks have reached out and shared a little bit. But, again, I think it's interesting. I'm not sure if anybody really knows how things are going to go week to week. I mean, even specifically with the auto tariffs, they were on, then they were paused, then they were on, then, it's not even, talk to leaders in the industry, it's not even clear exactly how they would apply. And so, it's difficult to sort of fight a very moving target, or even not even, maybe to fight, but just to plan with such a moving and sort of nebulous target. So one of the biggest challenges right now is just trying to get some certainty about what is, what isn't, and when. And even those answers seem elusive.
I didn't realize that Mayor Barnett is actually term limited, and for 2 cycles now, he's run as a write-in candidate and keeps winning, which really speaks to his close relationship with the people of his city. And I want to play a quick clip of Mayor Barnett's very unique State of the City address and get everyone's comments on it. He really is a showman. JP, can you show that to us?
Boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another world where beauty is all around us, where possible is commonplace, and where nothing is quite what you would expect. The Michigan Municipal League watched what we did and they gave it a term. They called it Governtainment. And hopefully our big top performance tonight will be no exception. Friends, I'm proud of our story and I'm honored and humbled to be your mayor. For 17 years, I've been blessed to be one of the ringleaders here, and every day I wake up passionate about this opportunity.
That is, for those of you listening on audio, that is a 40-person choir, I believe. Mayor Barnett comes out in a top hat and a velvet sequin jacket, and I really do think now I understand why you win on with write-ins, because I listened to the entire speech. It married substance with comedy, with entertainment. And I think I want you guys to talk about, like, is that the new age? Is Mayor Barnett onto something here?
Well, I've known Mayor Barnett for a while. I have not seen that particular performance. I could never pull that off or even think about it. I mean, I just can't imagine what the message is after. Was that the beginning?
That was the beginning. That was the opening number. There was the opening number, but also there's his friend who is a pastor gave an invocation that was also very entertaining.
Wow.
Watching it, it's a celebration of the city. And so people are standing up and giving standing ovations for themselves. It's really interesting.
Wow. Yeah.
Mayor Reed, could you pull that off?
Absolutely not. I loved it, though. I felt like I was at an old Raiders game with Al Davis. Just win, baby. He's got his own style. It works for him. He continues to win repeatedly. You know, it's like the University of Alabama, dive right, dive left until somebody stops it. Keep doing the same thing. You know, I wasn't aghast. I loved it. Mayor, walk us through. Tell us about your thinking, why you do it that way, your decision-making around it, and why it works.
Listen, I shared earlier that I love what I do. And part of that passion, I think, comes out in the way I've chosen to do State of the City addresses. And they've grown over the years. They weren't always like that. And they started as kind of boring speeches in City Hall about road projects we had completed and various budget information. And I gave passion speeches to glassy-eyed people that were there because they had to be. And I thought there has to be a better way to do this. And, you know, I'm fortunate to be from a city that, you know, that has done pretty well and has a lot of great successful stories to tell. And I started integrating different community groups in. It's as simple as having and these two mayors know this. You want to grow attendance to an event, you have like a kindergarten group come and sing the national anthem, and all the parents come, and all of a sudden you have a full house. And so we started bringing people in to do the national anthem and sing and do different performing arts. And then it just started to grow. And then we started to theme them and, you know, always around telling the city's story. We never wanted to be so superficial that we were just doing a show to do a show. But the greatest show, for example, was talking about how I think our team does local government better than anyone else. And the point of the greatest show was to talk about how we executed that. And we got local choirs involved and the kids' dance teams involved. And now we have to go to the biggest arena in town, or the biggest theater in town to put on these shows. And we don't sell tickets, but they sell out. And to imagine a State of the City that will have, 1,000 people come to it, that will wait outside, that will sit in overflow seating to see what we're going to do this year is a lot of fun. I've been Jimmy Fallon. I've rappelled from the ceiling. I've played in a rock band, even though I don't play an instrument. This last year, we did a whole Disney theme. We love telling our city story in a memorable, exciting way. And it's amazing how people come, they connect to it. They tell other people, like, you've got to go see Mayor Barnett's State of the City. And I doubt that kind of energy exists in too many other places. And so, we've got something kind of fun here, and we meet in advance, months in advance, to try to figure out the theme and how we're going to tie it into our city's success and city story. And we've had a lot of fun with them. My biggest challenge is trying to beat the expectations that people have raised for these year after year. It's kind of a fun thing, but it also, is a bit of a challenge. But people love them here, and they ask me months in advance, I can't wait to see what you're going to do this year. And I don't think that exists. At the core of that is people connecting with their community, which is great. And that's what this is all about, right? Having people leave with a sense of pride about where they live and what's happening in their community, different success stories of individuals or groups or, community organizations. We get to share their stories and hopefully partner with them on their journeys. And that's the real purpose that undergirds why you put so much time and energy into a production like we've done for States of the Cities.
And Mayor, didn't you, correct me if I'm wrong, it must have been spliced together, but you did carpool karaoke with Madonna.
Yeah. She's from Rochester Hills, and she went on the Howard Stern show a few years back and said some things that were not as complimentary as I would have liked them to be as the hometown mayor.
No, I'm not going there.
Yes,
We're not playing. We're not playing.
Look at me. Nobody's listening. Just tell me.
Finally tonight, memo to Madonna, you are wrong about Rochester Hills. City Mayor Bryan Barnett fired off an open letter this week to the singer defending his city. Seems that Madge described the residents of her hometown, Rochester Hills, as, quote, basic and provincial thinking. She made the comment on the Howard Stern radio show to explain why she didn't go back home after being attacked in New York when she started her career. In his letter, the mayor touted all the things that make Rochester Hills a great city.
And so I challenged her in an open letter, and we had this sort of wonderful back and forth, and did this carpool karaoke, which, of course, she was not in my car.
Should we talk about the elephant in the room?
Which one?
The letter. Did you even read it?
Of course.
So do you have anything you want to say to me?
You're a
but Madonna, you do understand why I had to write that letter, right? I had to defend our city. Do you know we even have you on our wall of fame at the museum?
This is kind of a boring conversation.
Come on, folks! Get your body moved to the music! Hey, come on, folks!
We've had a kind of a fun relationship since. Just kind of she didn't appreciate the diversity of my community like I hoped she would. So we went back and had a chance again to tell the city story, to talk about some of the things that are happening here. And it went viral. And, I probably did as much media in that week as I've done, in my entire career. Once you poke Madonna, you poke a pretty big global bear. And it ended up being, I think, 5 continents and 300 broadcasts and all sorts of crazy, 500,000 hits over 24 hours. It was pretty substantial.
I love that. And we should say that part of your story is, I think for 7 years straight, Rochester Hills is the safest community in Detroit. So for all the fun, you're actually getting substantive stuff done, which when you watch these States of the City, they are celebrations. They are local patriotic celebrations, which I take it as part of your goal with them.
It is, but I would also share, and I heard you chatting a little bit about a good friend of all of ours, Mayor Holt, and the challenges of the 30th anniversary of the 30th commemoration of the bombing there. Last year, my last day of the city, while we were Michigan's safest city, we had a mass shooting in my city last year.
The Oakland County community in mourning today after a gunman opened fire at a Rochester Hills splash pad. According to the sheriff's office, in total, 9 people were shot. The victims range in age from 4 years old to 78 years old, among them a mother and her 8-year-old son, who are both in critical condition right now. Police say he opened fire with a handgun, shooting 28 times. Police found him at a mobile home park after the shooting. We're told he took his own life.
Fortunately, no one was lost, but that was a very significant issue in our community and still is. And so we had to find the right way to celebrate our successes. We're Michigan's safest city for 7 years in a row. but we had a mass shooting. So how do you deal with that? How do you message that appropriately to deal with the mental health aspect of it, to deal with the folks that are still proud of their community, the response? I said in the hours that after that happened that, that incident wouldn't define us, but our community's response to it would.
And we know in Rochester Hills, you have robust programming all throughout the summer where there are large gatherings.
We're not going to let this issue define us or let some person who very randomly picked one of our most sacred and beloved places change what we value in this community. So
I think as a mayor, and these other really excellent mayors, here recognize that a city is a lot of different things, even on the same day. So while you celebrate something in one part of town, you're standing alongside someone going through something challenging in another side of town. And that's really, the challenge of being, I think, a good and hopefully successful mayor is trying to be all of the voices and all the things that a city needs at all the times a city needs it.
Let's take a break from this riveting conversation and hear from our partner, Accelerator for America's Mary Ellen Wiederwald. This week, she's talking about stress tests for cities.
The dynamic between local communities and the federal government is clearly shifting. Are we at the beginning of a significant devolution of the federal government's role? If the federal government makes significant cuts, what does that mean for local leaders? As the debate in Washington plays out and we see just how much change is coming, cities and counties cannot afford to wait and see what federal funds may be reduced or eliminated. Local leaders need to act with urgency. We cannot be caught flat-footed when the other shoe finally drops out of D.C. Accelerator for America recommends that local leaders conduct a stress test to evaluate current federal funding commitments, identify at-risk funding, and assess potential impact on both local government and community priorities. A stress test provides leaders with a 30,000-foot view of how much federal funding factors into their overall budgets, while also drilling down to programmatic level impact. If CDBG dollars are reduced, how many fewer housing units will get built? What infrastructure projects may now face a funding gap? If your local university loses research dollars, how does that impact your local economic development? This stress test must go beyond an analysis by the city CFO on those federal dollars that flow into your local government. Cities and counties shouldn't do this work or hold these conversations in a vacuum. Local leaders should convene cross-functional teams that include city government offices, our schools, K through 20, local nonprofits, housing providers, refugee resettlement agencies, and community members to recenter around shared values and brainstorm possible response strategies. We must look more broadly at all the federal funding that flows into our communities. Mayors and county executives have a unique convening power. It's time to use that power to convene a big table in your community to get the big picture. Performing a stress test gives leaders the information needed to contemplate the tough questions. If federal cuts impact public safety investments, will you pull funding from another local service to cover the difference or lessen the impact? How will you continue to make progress to reduce and eliminate homelessness with less federal funding? Is there another state or local funding option? Will you consider raising local taxes to continue programming or simply stop providing a service? And how will you communicate with your constituents and bring residents together to get input on these difficult decisions? Accelerator for America is working with several partners to develop tools and best practice models for local leaders to undertake this assessment for their communities. There is little doubt that the relationship between local and federal government is changing. And while the full impact won't be known right away, local leaders must take action now to prepare for what may come.
Thanks, Mary Ellen and Accelerator for America. And now back to the show.
What do you think is the most important part of your job, Mayor Barnett? You were talking to somebody that wants to be in politics, who wants to be a mayor one day. Tell me what's the most important part of being a mayor for you?
Yeah. I mean, I think the most, if you're looking on paper, the thing that we spend the most time and treasure on is public safety, is making sure our people are safe and that the community is functioning in a way that people want to live, work, and raise their family here. That's the nuts and bolts is providing that. But the reason you want to be a mayor, I think the reason that I would tell people is that you really want to create a place that people want to be. That's the part that I enjoy is kind of creating community. So while you have to block and tackle in handling public safety and working with the schools, to me, the fun aspect and the thing that makes a community unique, hopefully Rochester Hills is in this category, is listening to your community first and then trying to execute a vision where people can see themselves with economic mobility, with social mobility, and all the different things where they go, yeah, I'm really proud. I always say my business is when people say Rochester Hills or they say Atlanta or they say Philadelphia, in the first second, there's an impression. And it could be a cheesesteak. It could be the Eagles. It could be, Atlanta's music team, whatever it might be. It might be a negative thing, but that first couple seconds of a person's initial perception of your community is what I'm trying to create, what I'm hoping to have influence on. And I can't make sure that everyone's perception is perfect, but that's always I challenge our team all the time. We're in the customer service business, and our competition isn't our neighboring communities. I always think our competition is Amazon, it's Disney, it's Nordstrom, it's people that do customer service really well. Trying to create that perception. When people say Rochester Hills, I'm doing everything possible to help that be a positive first impression. I'd love to live there someday. Boy, they have great schools. I love visiting their parks. Their mayor is a crazy person.
Located in southeastern Michigan, in a region known as Automation Alley, Rochester Hills is surrounded by hundreds of exceptional business opportunities and unrivaled.
I'm trying to impact that in some little way with my actions and directing my cabinet and my team here to do the same thing. And that's what's exciting to me. Why do you want to be a mayor? Well, hopefully it's because you can affect the community around you in a positive way and help people connect.
Favorite restaurant in the city for date night?
Favorite restaurant in the city for date night? It depends. If I want Italian, I have a place. If I want steak, I have a place. If I want to sit down and watch the game, I have a place. I like Cruz and Muir. I like CJ Mahoney's has believe it or not, has a menu item named after me. So it's a little bit of a favorite place there.
What is it?
This is something I wish I hadn't said because I feel like Mayor Nutter's never going to let this go away. Mayor Barnett's cheese balls. I don't know what the rating is on this podcast, but we'll leave the commentary maybe until later. But if you ever want to come and taste my cheese balls, you're welcome to do that at CJ Mahoney. So we have a great community with a lot of great places to eat, and maybe we should get on to the next question.
I always love getting advice on favorite restaurant from mayors because they know their city's better than anybody else. I go to Detroit all of the time, so I'm in the area. So I would always ask folks what's their favorite place to go.
Larry, did we talk about, or maybe it was in the intro and I could have missed it. The mayor, of course, is also a past president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. And again, we are officially a nonpartisan, bipartisan organization. And, issues arise. Different presidents are in office, could be of a different party, et cetera, et cetera. Similar to Mayor Reed's question, how did you navigate, Mayor Barnett, during the 1 year that any of us get to be president of the conference? But all kinds of issues come up that, as I say, that you don't pick the big moments pick you. Mm-hmm. Things happen.
Yeah. As much as anyone, that it is a very small fraternity of people that have served as presidents of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. To me, it was the pinnacle of my profession. It's the highest honor you can get to serve as America's mayor. I served under Mayor Nutter's leadership and many other fantastic presidents. And you're right, it is. You have a plan. I came in after Mayor Benjamin, and we had a 2-year plan of Columbia, South Carolina. Wonderful friend, wonderful man, wonderful leader. Continues to be a great friend. And we really had a 2-year plan of the 3 I's. But of course, the second you get in, the plans change, and you have to respond. And one of the first things that President Trump was in his first term as president in my year, and one of the first things he did is he said some unsavory comments about Baltimore.
After Mr. Trump called Baltimore a disgusting rat rodent-infested mess, the Baltimore Sun's editorial page wrote, "It's better to have some vermin living in your neighborhood than to be one."
So we had some initial reactions to, okay, how are we going to react to President Trump? And, what is the appropriate approach? Do you respond? Do you try to come over the top? Do you ignore? And so that was very interesting. Of course, we had, and that continued to be a challenge throughout the time, wanting to work with the administration where we could, but also stand up for the values that we felt were important as a conference. We had multiple mass shootings. Unfortunately, Dayton happened, and I was there the next day, and El Paso happened in the same weekend. And of course, the biggest thing that happened about 3/4 of the way through my year was COVID. And so I was one of the 5 mayors that was picked to be a part of Operation Warp Speed with 5 governors, talking about how we were going to distribute vaccines and all the process. So went from traveling the world and the country, responding to the challenges mayors are facing in their hometowns, to really this global response. There's something that, no one had ever campaigned on. I'll be the best mayor to lead us through a pandemic. It was sort of, as you said, it was the moment that picked you, and you find yourself trying to figure out and make decisions that no one's really ever thought of, at least in the last 80 years. So it was a wonderful experience. It was a very quick experience. It seems like, you're president for 3 months or something. But when you look back on it, I grew a lot. I hope I added a lot of value. Still get a lot of people that comment on the term. And as I'm one of the few people that's still involved with the Conference of Mayors since I'm still elected, I try to help the current presidents and those that are in the line to come up next to kind of challenge them and share with them the lessons that I've learned as presidents did with me.
Hey, Mayor, as a final question here, you mentioned customer service, and you are really an evangelist for this. And I think it grows out of your own personal infatuation with Disney level customer service. Can you talk about how a mayor can implement a customer service program? And then the other thing you really champion is innovation. And you've done some things with parks that are sort of next level in terms of innovation. Can you just run through those two, customer service, a little more detail for practitioners who are listening, and also your emphasis on innovation?
Yeah. In my career, prior to this, I had some great bosses and I had some terrible bosses, and you learn a lot from both. And one of the things that I recognized pretty early is essentially we're in customer service as our sole business. And it looks a lot differently if you're a firefighter on the scene of a medical incident, or you're with our, parks and forestry team taking care of, folks enjoying a day at the park. Essentially people want to be served. They want to be taken care of. And we have the knowledge to do that. And so I put all of our eggs in that basket. Like I said before, we're in the customer service business. And as I said, our competition isn't who you might think. It's Amazon. If you can get something delivered to your house from across the world in 24 hours, but it takes you 4 or 5 visits to City Hall to get a dog license, or 3 days, doesn't make any sense. They don't go, this is good public customer service versus good private sector customer service. They go, listen, this doesn't make any sense. And so I really try to have an ecosystem here where people are empowered to make differences and to go a little bit outside the lines. I learned that when I worked at Disney, that we were empowered to give away free things if it made someone's day. Free ice cream, a free lunch if it made someone's day. I have a meeting this afternoon. I meet with every new employee. We put them together once a month, all the new employees. It ends up being 20 or 30 each time, and really challenge them. I want them to hear from my voice what our mission is. And then I want them to feel empowered, whether they're a firefighter, a DPS worker, a lifeguard, to make a difference. And I think our team really has embraced that concept. And I see it happen all the time from the letters I receive from residents, that people kind of go above and beyond. Hey, get out of your truck and help somebody. Hey, it's okay. I'm always going to have your back. I mean, there's some legal things we have to be careful with in some instances, but I'm going to take the bullets. If I think, and if you tell me that you're doing something because you're trying to go the extra mile, we're going to protect you. We're going to have your back, because that's what's going to separate us. And we do these studies, these external studies about what people think about our city. And you're always nervous about that as a mayor, because some people fire straight at you, and you get some crazy comments. But we traditionally, the last 4 or 5 times we've done this, we've scored higher than the highest ranked customer service companies, private sector companies in America. We outpace Costco, we outpace Disney parks, we outpace Amazon. And that's from just random people, not these are, statistically significant surveys. So I think it's resonating, and I'm really proud of our team for that, and love the culture that we've created here. Part of that culture, as you mentioned, is innovation. Our tagline is innovative by nature. We have more than a patent today received by a Rochester Hills business or resident. 60% of our residents have a bachelor's degree. More robots made in our city. So we have a very innovative and curious community by nature. And so we build into that. We just built a park 4 years ago now. And I said, I want this park to be called Innovation Hills. I want nothing you can find in any other park here.
The city's first developed park in 25 years is here, Innovation Hills. And like all of our other amazing parks, it offers a variety of experiences for families.
All our swings are different. Our slides are different. All of our parks have glow-in-the-dark sidewalks. Not all of our parks. This park has glow-in-the-dark sidewalks. It's completely accessible. We worked with the autism community and all these other sort of special needs communities to talk about what colors we should use. We have a section that's designated, that's all Braille. We have a section that's designated for folks that need quiet space. We really tried to be all-inclusive under the guise of this is a place where, an innovative place where any kid, family, adult can find something for them. And it's been voted Michigan's coolest playground the last 3 years.
Rochester Hills, this is your legacy. This is your vision come to life.
Listen, I this is why I'm passionate, because I'm able to work on some of these cool things that make a difference in my community. Love my city. Really grateful for the opportunity to impact people's lives. And like I said, I hope that as much as I've learned from many other people like Mayor Nutter and Mayor Reed, this industry is a lot of stealing great ideas, trying to put your own community spin on them, and then executing them hopefully in flawless fashion. And I think that's one of the things we've done pretty well here in Rochester Hills.
Well, I can't thank you enough. We should do a road trip to the next state of the city, and then we can all go on a taste test of the mayor's spicy cheese balls.
There's so many things I want to say, but yeah, I'll leave it for when we're there in person.
I'm there.
That'd be my recommendation. I'm there.
Not knowing your audience, we'll keep it right there. But no, would love to host you all. Like I said, really proud of our community. And I don't know what the State of the City theme is going to be. We have it in September this year. But, we'll spin the dial and come up with something. And hopefully it'll be one to remember. But I really appreciate you having me on. And thank you for taking the time to talk about how cities should be run, because there's a lot to learn out there.
No, it's good for us. And it's good for the soul of the country.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Mayor.
Keep up that great leadership.
No problem. Have a good day, guys. We'll see you.
I'm waving at you. You can't see me, but I'm waving.
Well, that's it for this episode of How to Really Run a City. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and tell your friends about us. We really want to widen the conversation, because by 2050, something like 2/3 of the world will live in cities. As cities go, so goes the nation, and so goes the world. For now, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Remember to check out the Good Government Show podcast, where host Dave Martin conducts conversations with elected leaders about how government can work for all of us. Check out the Good Government Show wherever you get your podcasts, or visit goodgovernmentshow.com.